What's up? Good morning, everyone. How you doing? It's your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, and welcome to another edition of NFL Sunday Wake Up with me. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, man. Hope you guys are doing okay. It's Sunday, so you know what that means. The show never stops on Father's Day. It doesn't matter, and I know you guys want to hear what's going on in the NFL. We got a great show today. We got a guest early on in the morning. We're going to be talking about Chase Young and the Washington Commanders. There's some trade rumors about him swirling that he may be heading to the Steel City in Pittsburgh. I'll have my guest, Sports PSP, aka Parnell, the host of the Commanders Demand podcast. He'll be stopping by shortly. Also, I want to touch base on the Stefon Diggs debacle or the stand-up that's happening between him and the front office and the coaching staff of the Buffalo Bills. Very funny events that happened this week that I have to kind of just dive in. Also, I want to stay kind of in the Northeast pocket there and talk about the New York Giants and Saquon Barkley and his decision to possibly hold out since, mini camps have started or OTAs. He was not in attendance, so we'll dive into that. And finally, proven or unproven. I have 4 veteran quarterbacks that have they're all in their different phases of their parts of their career right now. Some of them are proven and some of them are not. I'll dive into that. And make sure if you're watching the stream live here on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and follow, man. I appreciate I'm trying to bump those numbers up here on YouTube. So I appreciate that. But without further ado, man, does everyone sit back and relax and enjoy the show? This is Clutch Sports Talk. Wake up with me. Let's go. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you guys are doing all right. Happy Father's Day again. It's early here on the West Coast for me. My house is still sleeping, so I guess when they wake up, I'll get my little Father's Day card or whatever it is, what it is. But before I start the show, man, being a father is very important to me. It's the biggest job that I've ever had in my life. And those fathers out there that you know what it's like. So I commend all you brothers out there that are doing what you're doing, supporting your children, whether it's, financially, being there emotionally, whatever it is, man. Commend all the fathers out there. Special shout out to my dad, who's been in my life my whole entire life. So I got a big shoes to fill. So I'm hoping I'm doing that as well. And if you feel that way too, give your dad a call after the show's done and let them know how much you care about them and you love them. So happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We already got some comments. Got my guy, Let's Talk Sports with Richard Cole. He said, "What up? Happy Father's Day. Same to you, Richard. I can't wait to be on your show in the next couple of weeks, man. Weeks. It'll be great." We got Patrick. He said, "Happy Father's Day. My favorite NFL show to watch each week. Long live the grid." Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Long live the grid. And with that said, I have one of my teammates on the grid. He is the host of 2 actually shows, right? He got Sports PSP, and then he's also the creator and founder of Commanders Demand. He is a Washington Commanders fan. And let me bring to the stage Mr. Parnell, aka Sports PSP. Let's get him in here. Let's see, where are you at? There he is. What's up, brother? How you doing, Parnell?
Good, man. Happy Father's Day, man.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for joining me early. Well, it's kind of late for you because you're kind of like on the East Coast, so
it's like 11:07, but it's all
right,
good.
Right. It's almost afternoon for you, so I appreciate you. I guess all that clapping, let's get that stopped out of the way. But other than that, thanks for stopping by, man. I wanted to bring you on because you are the Commanders guy for our grid, for our network, and I know there's been some rumors swirling around your boy Chase Young, who was drafted, very high out of Ohio State several years ago. And for the most part, he's shown flashes, of course. But Pittsburgh is definitely interested. That's one of the rumors that are out there, and perhaps in acquiring him via trade. From what I understand, the Steelers are very, very interested, and they're trying to figure out a way to maneuver this trade. Although being, because Chase Young has I think he's owed, $11 million this year. And I believe this Pittsburgh Steelers only have about $16 million in cap space. So they're going to have to get really shifty if they're able to kind of pull off this trade. So, and on top of that, they still got other guys on the defensive line that either need to get paid or are still pretty suitable. You got Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, I believe Jonathan Allen. All these are very, very highly drafted guys, very talented players. And it just seems like Chase Young might be the odd man out. So, Parnell, what are your thoughts? Number one, on the Chase Young situation and where does he fit in the Commanders organization? And as well, if you have any thoughts on the Pittsburgh deal?
I would love to see Chase Young finish his career as a Washington Commander. I think when healthy, he does make a difference for the team. Now, as you mentioned, we took care of Darren Payne with the contract. I'm glad that we still have him. We have to address Montez Sweat because he's entering free agency. But with Chase Young, the concern, however, is the durability part. When
Right.
he's available and when he's out on the football field, he can produce. But and we also forgot the Commanders, they didn't pick up his 5th-year
He
option.
did not.
Right. So they feel like it's a make it or make it year. It's a prove it year for Chase Young. Now in Pittsburgh, he can definitely fit well with that defense. He could provide that type of presence. He can stop the run. He's a freakish athlete. So I think him and Mike Tomlin would definitely work. But Pittsburgh, we're not, if you're Washington, we're not going to get any first round picks. Chase Young is not worth a first round
Right.
pick given his durability and the production. So what are we going to get if we're Washington? A second, a third, maybe a fifth for a Chase Young. And plus you mentioned Pittsburgh has like what $16 million left in
Mm-hmm.
cap space.
Mm.
So he could definitely fit in for the Steelers. I would love to see him stay as a Commanders fan. We definitely drafted him that high. We drafted him, I think, number 2 overall
Yep.
back in 2020, right after Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I just think if he's healthy and if he can play, of course, the Commanders, they're going to have to find a way to take care of him. But if he feels like he doesn't want to be with the Commanders anymore, then I have no problem with trading him. And at least we got to get something in return. You can't lose someone like him for nothing.
No, I agree. And like I said before, that your defensive front is super talented. I mean, I think they can afford to lose him per se. Do you want to lose him? No, you don't. And then I look at it from the Pittsburgh Steelers angle. I'm kind of torn because here's the thing.
Hmm.
On paper, he seems like he'd be great there. And if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have a guy like TJ Watt, who's also an amazing player on one end.
He is.
He also gets hurt a lot too. And so if you're thinking about bringing in another type of, let's say, quote unquote, franchise type of edge rusher who also has a history of being hurt. So now you're going to have 2 bookends that are always hurt. And that's a lot of dough to be investing in a team that, I think a lot of people would say the Pittsburgh Steelers are, I wouldn't say Super Bowl contenders, but they're a little bit above average, I would say. And I feel like they maybe have some other areas that maybe they probably should address. So for me, I think he should stay in Washington. I think so. But again, it all boils down to the new ownership, obviously with the Commanders, what's going to happen with that. Do they feel like they want to invest in a guy like that, considering that they still have like 3 other really super talented guys that they're going to have to pay some of those guys too. And they may lose out on one of those guys, obviously.
They will.
But it seems
There's no
like
way
right
they
now,
can keep all those players.
yeah, there's no way. But I feel like right now, Chase Young, only because of the injuries, is the kind of the odd man out.
Exactly.
So it's a very rough situation for him. Do you think? Are there any other? I know you don't want to see him go, but do you think there's anyone else out there that could realistically make a push for him at this point?
I mean, there's Pittsburgh. I don't know any particular team. I would trade him to the AFC. I
Yeah,
definitely want to keep
get
him
him out of
in
it.
the NFC because
Yeah.
we're gonna have to deal with him for a long period of time. I don't know who
Oh,
is actually interested. Maybe the Patriots.
yeah.
So they could add some defense.
Yeah.
Although I
As a
like
defense.
Matthew Judon. I love Matthew Judon.
Well, and we got a comment here from Patrick.
Patrick.
He's mentioning Detroit could
Oh
possibly see
yeah,
a
I
trade
forgot Detroit.
with Aiden Hutchinson and maximize your roster. So yeah, not bad. Aiden Hutchinson, he's looks like he's coming on as a beast. You pair him on the other side. But again, I still think he'll find a way to stay in Washington. I think they got to keep him. 11 million is a lot though for a guy that hasn't really played a full season since he's been in the National Football League. But once
Right.
he's on the field, there's no telling what he can do. once he's given that option. So Richard Cole says, let's see, the Commanders need to find a way to keep him. Some of his injury falls on the conditioning
Coach
coach
as
as
well.
well. Okay, interesting take on that. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah, some teams don't have a lot of injuries. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, but last couple of years, they've guys are just falling left and right. Yeah, some of that too is, and I don't know Chase Young. I don't know what his offseason regimen is. I don't know if he takes care of his body the way he probably should be. I would assume he does. You would think so. But then you got some guys that are just injury prone, and he just might be one of those types of guys that it doesn't matter what he does.
But it is shocking
He can
though,
work
Ryan,
out.
because again, he's from Ohio State. And
Yeah,
what I've seen is a pattern of players like the Bosa brothers, Joey and Nick. They've
yeah,
had their
yeah. Heard a lot
injury,
too. Yeah.
and then with Chase Young. So is it like coincidence or
That's a good point. Yeah, you know what? And the same thing goes for those Alabama boys too. Nick Saban runs those guys into the ground. They play them a lot. They work them hard, and then they get in the NFL, and they're like they just break down within a couple of years. Now, obviously, there's some outliers out there, but it seems like Ohio State could be the next. Justin Fields getting hurt.
right?
I don't know. So that's an excellent point, and maybe Chase Young. I wouldn't say he's past his prime, but perhaps maybe he's got a lot. He's got a lot of wear and tear already on him already. And the funny thing is that he sit out like the last couple games of his last year. I forgot what the story on him
He only
was.
played like I think 3 games,
Yeah,
and
because
that's about
he
it.
got hurt. Didn't he get
Yes,
hurt? I think, and then he just ended up sitting out the rest of the year. So
right,
I don't know, man. If I'm the Commanders, you want to keep him,
right.
but I don't think you can keep him at the end of the day, especially not at 11 million. Now, if he wants to restructure, that's one thing. And it's sad because of the talent that he has,
And the upside.
and the upside is crazy, but those darn injuries, man, it really hampers your team. Your
But
team.
here's the but here's the concern for me, Brian. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No, good.
if we didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and if he has, let's say hypothetically, a great season,
Right.
then we have to take care of him because again, the Giants, they made the mistake with Daniel Jones. They didn't pick
Yeah.
up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
He had a solid good year last year, helped him get to the playoffs, win a playoff game, and then he was compensated.
Right.
So if we're Washington and if that situation hypothetically, if that happens, how's that going to help us in cap space and stuff?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think the Commanders are probably just they're rolling the dice on this one. I think they probably feel, listen, the guy hasn't played a full season yet for us. We have other guys in the barnyard there that can still get the job done and still be on the field. We're willing to let him to walk if that's the case, or at least test the free agency market. And not to say that he doesn't get hurt again. And I don't wish that on anyone, obviously. But there is what's the word? There's not a precedence, but there is a pattern that
Yeah.
that that he's following. He has not been healthy completely since he's been in the league, and I think they're banking on that. So it's going to be an interesting situation. The Steelers, on paper, it seems good, right? When you read the newspapers, you throw Chase Young's name in Google or you search it up, the Steelers pop up immediately. I'm not a big fan of it again because of the injuries. Only if the money isn't what it is right now, and if it's
Right.
because it's over 10 million, so that's a lot of money to be investing in a guy. On top of that, like I said again, you got the other guy on the other end, TJ Watt, who's a phenomenal pro bowler, defensive, all defensive kind of guy.
Defensive player
um
of the year.
but defensive player of the year, thank you. But also gets hurt. So what if they're both hurt at the same time? It's like you can't get it. Honestly, it boils down to money for me when I think about this stuff. The fans that watch NFL casually, they think it's Madden, the Madden Ultimate Team. That's great, right? When you're playing video games, but in real life,
Right.
these guys got to be on the field, and if they're not on the field, man, it's like, what's the point?
Right.
So, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. But hey, Parnell, man, appreciate you coming on, man, and talking a little bit of Commanders. Once we get into some training camp stuff, we'll definitely have you back on so we can go full dive into the Washington Commanders and let everyone know, man, what's going on with you. Where can we find you at? And anything else about your world there.
Oh, yes. As you all know, folks, Commanders Demand, the newest episode, Is It Possible, comes out. Basically, is just can Sam Howell be the future franchise quarterback for the Commanders or not? I'm still not sure about that. I've said on the show that they should tank the rest of the season and try to get Caleb Williams because Ryan, you and I, we've had this
Oh, yes.
discussion. They should make a splash.
Yeah.
And I feel like with new ownership, it's just time to move on from the old regime and replace it with the new regime. And also go check me out, Sports PSP, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah.
Facebook, several social media websites, just continue, man. And I'll continue coming up with great content. I have the latest episode on John Morant with the suspension, so go check it out.
All right, man. I appreciate you stopping by, man. That's Sports PSP, everybody. Have a good day, man.
You too, man. Happy Father's Day again, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. All right, there he is, man. This guy, he's all over the let me get my layout correct here because it's all off whack, but sorry, y'all. There we go. He works a lot, man. This guy, he's on YouTube, TikTok. If something happens in sports, about 2 seconds later, he's got a video out. So, shout out to him. I appreciate him coming on, and make sure you guys check out his content. He's available on the Grid as well. So make sure if you haven't already, head over to the Grid Network and subscribe, man. A lot of great content creators there, including my guy Parnell. All right, we'll keep it rolling, man. Listen, I don't know if you guys can hear. That's my stupid Google Chromecast thing in the back, kind of like Alexa. But anyway, we're going to keep the show rolling. I want to talk about what's happening in Orchard Park with the Buffalo Bills and Stefon Diggs. Now, what a week it's been. Look, it was a bizarre type of thing, Bills mini camp started, obviously, and it was kind of a roller coaster of drama this week, starting off with Stefon Diggs being absent from day one from practice, and then Coach McDermott coming out and saying, he's a little concerned and yada yada yada. So then the next day, he comes back. Coach Sean McDermott comes back and tries to put on a little damage control and kind of made it worse. It would have been so basic if Sean McDermott just said, you know what, Stefon Diggs was excused, for whatever team reasons, and left it at that. But because he opened up his mouth and spewed out some words, the media don't be messing around, and they took that and they ran with it. But because he was like, "Oh, I'm concerned," we've had conversations, yada yada yada. He's not happy. We're kind of at a crossroads. I'm concerned. And then the next day, you're like, "Oh no, it's all good, man. We just sent him home. We all needed a break. A break from what?" Right? That means there's a problem. People don't separate because you feel good about a situation. You separate because there's an issue, and there definitely is an issue. But McDermott, throughout the week said, the problem is resolved. Stefon Diggs did eventually come back to minicamp a couple of days later. Josh Allen was interviewed. You could tell he was kind of caught off guard and he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So they did not do themselves a favor in the eyes of the media. And then to make matters worse, Diggs takes to Twitter, and I'm just reading what he says. He says, I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog. So listen, man, I just the Bills they bumbled it this week, and my boy Barry Grant Jr. I don't know if he's watching it. I know, but he's got like a dummy of the week's spot on his show maybe for next week. The Bills need to be the dummy of the week or something because they totally bumbled this. Listen, there's no big surprise that there's a problem with Stefon Diggs and the ownership or the leadership in Buffalo, right? It was reported at first maybe he had problems with Ken Dorsey, the second-year offensive coordinator, who's now on the hot seat now, obviously, because the way how they finished last season, and but then that's kind of been quelled a little bit. So there's some type of problem. Stefon Diggs wants to be more involved in the offense somehow. I get it. But here's the real brass tacks about this whole situation. Number one, Stefon Diggs, the Bills are not trading you. Okay, they're just not. They won't. And why would they? Okay, you're still under contract. You need to show up and just play. And I know people will say, don't say it, Ryan. Don't say shut up and play. Listen, in this case, he's got to shut up and play, man. The Bills are still a contending Super Bowl team. You have one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Your coach is pretty good, other than what he did this week, but everyone makes mistakes. I get it, right? But they're not trading you. You're too important to the team, right? You're the number one target for Josh Allen. And I know they've added some other pieces around the offense, but still, he's the guy there. Okay. And honestly, Diggs just needs to grow up. He's repeating the same pattern of behavior that got him out of Minnesota. He's kind of doing it now. Listen, I don't have a problem with guys being passionate and wanting to win. I'm all about that. I'm all for you trying to better yourself and be winners. Right. At the ultimate level in the National Football League, of course you want to win games, but you got to go about it a certain way. Okay. And he's not doing that. He's not doing that. And it seems like he's starting to whine a lot more and become unruly for no reason. You're being paid, you're getting compensated pretty fairly, I would say. I don't have the list up, but I would say he's probably one of the top highest paid receivers in the league now. And someone can fact check me if you can. I would say at least top 5. No, he can't be out of the top 10. Right. So you're being paid. I get it. You're coming up short. You're losing to the Chiefs. You're losing to the Bengals. Right. But at the end of the day, you're still on a good team. You're not on a crappy team. Okay. So, and the Bills, they're going to have to really get a hold of him quickly, or give him what he wants. Just cut him if that's the case. But I don't think they want to do that. I don't think they're there at that point yet. He still wants to play. He wants to win. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Dez Bryant, but maybe not so much. Dez Bryant wasn't as whiny as Stefon Diggs is. Dez Bryant was just an ultimate competitor. Okay. And he would get in your teammates' faces. He would, whine. I would say whine on the sidelines, but you can see the passion. Stefon Diggs sometimes comes off as just as like a ungrateful type of guy. And I don't know him personally, obviously. But again, he's repeating some of the same behavior that he's shown back in Minnesota that got him out of there. So I don't know what's going to take for him and the Buffalo Bills to kind of get on the same ground. But there's definitely a rift there. We're going to see how this pans out throughout the season, and we haven't even started training camp yet. Can you imagine when training camp starts, what's going to happen? I don't know. Richard Cole says Diggs whines uncontrollably. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick Brown says, I believe the Diggs situation is more of an internal issue, possibly with the Ken Dorsey play calling. You know what? That could be part of it. Again, Ken Dorsey's on the hot seat as well. He's definitely on the hot seat as a second-year offensive coordinator. You went from Brian Daboll to Ken Dorsey. We'll see what happens there. Patrick Brown comes back and says Diggs is the 7th highest paid receiver so he's in the top 10, man. I mean, is he one of the top guys? I mean, he could be. I mean, he would say top 5. You got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Who else is out there off the top of my head? Cooper Kupp when he's healthy. Devontae Adams, of course. That's 4. You could probably slide Stefon Diggs in there, right? Top 5. Obviously, he's a talent. I'm not gonna say he's not a talent, but sometimes, man, it ain't worth it with the ego and the attitude and things of that nature. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him in Buffalo. So, all right, we'll keep it rolling here. I want to talk about staying in the AFC, or not AFC, kind of in the East Coast time. The New York Giants, Saquon Barkley is reporting. It's reported that he may hold out. He may hold out and possibly not play for the Giants. Now, I don't think that's gonna completely happen, and I think there's some give and take on this situation, right? I get it. Saquon Barkley, he has every right to hold out. He's looking for a long-term contract, and I think he's trying to get that done by July 17th by the deadline. But the Giants do have some reservation, of course, as they should. This year, I believe he's going to be earning just a little bit above $10 million under the franchise tag. But then that's why Saquon is looking to secure a more long-term financial situation for him because, he's older. He's 26 now, I believe, or so like that, and has had several seasons ending with some injuries or has been affected by injuries. So he hasn't been on the field to play. So yeah, my Google keeps going off. I'm going to have to unplug it for the next show, man. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, thanks for pointing that out, Richard. But yeah, so the Giants, listen, they don't want to pay running backs. Let's just be real. Most NFL teams do not want to pay running backs. And I get it. It's a very archaic type of position now. It's being rooted out, I would say. You still need a running back, but you don't actually need a top-tier guy. Okay, so let's just listen to some of the stats that Saquon Barkley has put together in the last couple years, since 2019. So in 2019, he just barely made 1,000 yards rushing. Okay, um, and in the following season, he only played 2 games, so he was out. And then 2021 came back, hardly effective, only 593 yards and 2 touchdowns, and only averaged 3.7 yards a game. That's nothing. Okay. Now, he comes back last year, and of course, he is the focal point of the offense. He rushed for over 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and had a 4.4 average yards per carry. So, of course, in his mind, he's like, hey, back up the Brinks truck because I performed for you guys. But if you look at his history, and listen, I'm all for guys getting paid. I understand it for sure. But if you look at it from a business standpoint, the Giants have two decisions that they have to make. Number one, you pay the guy because he is your offense. He's everything to the New York Giants. Okay. The second option is you don't pay him. He tests the market, he walks, and who's your offense? So, but if you pay him, he gets hurt, you're still screwed and you owe him money. So there's going to be some very unique negotiating tactics going to have to go down between the two parties, between Saquon and the New York Giants. I personally, this is my personal opinion, and it's no shot at Saquon. It's no shot at any running back in the National Football League. But let's just be real. You don't need a top tier running back to win a National Football League, to win a Super Bowl. You don't. I can't even name the last team that had, and quote me if I'm wrong. You guys let me know. Keep me honest in the comment section. What was the last team that had a legit guy at the running back position, like an Adrian Peterson type of guy? I can't think about it. You looked at the Chiefs last year. I always bring him up. Isaiah Pacheco. I get it. The guys like him don't come around often, but listen, they did it without him. Okay. The year before that, the Rams, who was their running back? They had a plethora of guys coming in and out. Okay. The year before that, again, the Chiefs, right? Leonard Fournette was part of the Buccaneers team that won it a couple years ago. So you don't need a top tier running back to win these games, especially if you have a balanced team. Now, again, this is the caveat. The Giants are not that balanced. You have I would say, a average to below average wide receiving core. Your quarterback got paid a lot of money, and people say, well, Daniel Jones got paid. Why can't the running back? Well, let's just be honest. Quarterbacks are more valuable to a team than a running back. But in this case, it's a little slightly different because it seems like Saquon Barkley is valued a little bit more, but do they want to give him that money? That's the problem. So can the Giants win without him? I don't know. I have no idea if they can. I don't think they can, but do they want to get hampered financially? Now, running backs, man, listen, that's a tough gig. If you have young sons or young men that want to play in the National Football League or have aspirations of playing football, listen, as a coach of football, don't let them play running back. I'm being honest here. Have them be a wide receiver, quarterback, DN, or a tackle. Those guys, those positions alone get paid. Running backs, this is not 1995 anymore, 1990, when you have running backs that run the team, right? I had a conversation with Richard Cole the other day. We were talking about this. You don't need those running backs anymore, unfortunately. And if you're a running back and you're in high school right now and you're listening to me, or however you get this show, change positions today. Do not be a running back. Okay. I get it. I mean, listen, you can do what you want to do, but if you want to get paid and you want to run into situations like this, unless you play for the Cowboys, Jerry Jones will pay you. You'll run into this problem. Be any other position than a running back. Patrick says, from reports as today, contract requests are reasonable. Todd Gurley had 2 good seasons and got hurt before the Super Bowl. Afterwards was the same guy. It wasn't the same guy. Oh yeah. Look, and Todd Gurley is still, I want to say 28, 29. Again, fact check me. He's still a young guy. But look, the NFL ravaged him, right? After he hurt his knee, he had really 2 good years in LA. And then, the guy, he's nowhere to be found, right? Richard Cole says the day of the smash mouth are over. Running backs today need to be more of a receiver flanker type. Oh, absolutely. And one of my good friends, we always talk about this, Reggie Bush. If Reggie Bush was in his prime today, he would be arguably one of the best running backs in the National Football League. He was ahead of his time coming out of USC. He came into the league when they were kind of just starting to really transition. A lot of the teams having running backs that can catch out of the backfield. Marshall Faulk was a trailblazer in its own right, and people forget about him because he could catch. But guys like that, if they played today, they would be highly valued, like Christian McCaffrey, guys like that. And Saquon can catch too. But at the end of the day, you just don't pay running backs because after 2-3 seasons, it kind of sucks for them. Because here's the thing. Their rookie year, everyone, they're getting the ball out, they're running. Second year, they get the ball even more. And after that second year, most teams are kind of like, well, I don't know, man. You got a lot of carries on you. You got a lot of touches. Do we want to commit financially to that? And that's a bit of a problem, right? If you think about it in the grand scheme of things, and therefore you get what you get. Let's see. Patrick says Gurley's knees issue reared its ugly head, and he never bounced back, even though he had a prior ACL tear in college. The wear and tear, yeah, it definitely ended his career shortly. And someone check for me if he's under 30. I want to say he's like 28, 29, if that. And Saquon is what, 26. And it seems like he's been in the league forever. All right. So I don't know. I guess if I'm being a prudent GM, if I'm putting my GM thinking cap on, we got there's two ways I'm looking at it. We got to find a way to maybe come and meet in the middle, right? Maybe have some incentive based options within the salary. But we can't just give you a boatload of money, man, because again, in the last couple seasons he had, other than last year, he has not proven to be healthy enough to stay on the field. And that's a bit of an issue. If you can't play, why are we paying you that much money? And I get it. He's important to the team. I won't deny that. He is the most important player on that team outside of Daniel Jones. Okay. So we'll have to see what happens. And finally, the last one on the comment on this one, Zeke got the richest contract in 2019. We all were like, get it while you can, but at the same time, offense transitioned to a pass first, as we witnessed Zeke's yards per carry. Yeah, it's a passing league. The football is a passing league, and you're seeing it from the ground level, all from middle school through high school. Putting the ball in the air is important. It's vital. Okay. And running the football, although it is a part of football and it's still important, you got to be able to run the football every now and then, but it doesn't have the same onus as it once did many, many years ago. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. Last topic before we get out of here today, I want to talk about some quarterbacks, and I want to let me know what you guys think in the comment section, what your thoughts are. So we have proven or unproven quarterback edition. Okay, so I got 4 quarterbacks I'm going to break down, and we'll talk about it. And I'm going to tell you if I think they're proven or unproven. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section live, or if you're watching this video later on. So the first guy I want to start is in Miami, South Beach, Tua. Now he's been in the league, 3 going into his 4th season now. Last year it started great. He was on a trajectory to be, one of the top quarterbacks from a statistical standpoint. And then it all kind of got derailed with, the multiple concussions, things of that nature. However, though, prior to that, it wasn't always roses and rainbows. We saw him get pulled several times during games, during the Brian Flores regime, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was inserted. So it always hasn't been perfect for him. Tua, to me, is kind of right there in the middle. We see glimpses of it if he can stay healthy. Okay. Now, there's been reports, back in the day, he wasn't ready to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. He did not understand how to run a 2-minute offense towards the end of halves or toward the end of games. That's why Ryan Fitzpatrick had to be inserted in those particular situations. Not because Ryan Fitzpatrick was more talented than Tua. He just didn't have the mind for the game, not the maturity. And you can even go, don't even quote me on this, but you can go read it. Tua has acknowledged the fact that he wasn't mature enough, okay, to handle some of the tasks that were being asked of him as a starting NFL quarterback. Now, I'm not going to. We do this a lot. Guys have one good year or have a good little stretch, and they do this a lot in the NBA. They always try to make guys bigger than what they are, right? And the NBA is perfect at doing this. right? In the NFL, it's a lot different. And for me, Tua is unproven. Okay. Now, Miami fans might hate me for it, but it is what it is. If we're keeping it real, if we're keeping it a buck, and yes, I'm a Cowboys fan, and yes, I'm commenting on other teams, players, and I get this in the comment section all the time. Like, it's an NFL show. I'm talking about other NFL teams, people. So relax or don't watch. Simple as that. So I don't think that Tua sucks, but he still hasn't proven himself yet enough. I got to see it for a long duration. It ain't about just a quick little glimpse, because anyone could look good, right? For a short amount of time. It's for an extended amount of time. That's what's going to tell me if he has what it takes to be sustainable in the National Football League. Now I get it, injuries are going to be a big thing for him, because he could be one concussion away from never ever playing again, unfortunately. And I don't wish that upon him. I hope Tua could bounce back and go through the season and be injury free as far as concussions are concerned, right? You don't want to see that, because he was having such a great year. And you look at that roster around them in Miami, man. It's a track meet. They got all kind of guys over there. So again, Tua, to me, unproven. I got to see a little bit more from him. All right, the next guy. Some of you might disagree with what I'm going to say about him. We'll see. Right, Kyler Murray out here in the desert in Arizona. Number 1 overall pick a couple years ago by Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals. Now Cliff is gone. New head coach steps in. Kyler's hurt all the time, it seems like. I'll say this though about Kyler. Now we'll start with the positives. Okay, he came into a franchise that needed quarterback help immediately. The Cardinals had taken Josh Rosen the year before, very high, didn't work out. They shipped him gone, or he's out of here. And God knows where Josh Rosen is. I don't know where he's at anymore. Kyler comes in, instantly is a star. Okay. He at one point, probably one of the top quarterbacks in the league, given his, diminutive size. And then all of a sudden, things just started to derail. Contract situation came up. Cardinals put in this silly clause, not a silly clause, but they made it public that, in the clause in the contract, that he had to, watch a certain amount of film. Okay. Now, from a physical standpoint, ruling out his size, Kyler Murray's pretty good, right? Good arm, pretty accurate, mobile. Negative side is not a great leader. Has a little entitlement to him, obviously. When you're a top flight athlete, remember he's a top athlete in 2 sports, baseball and football, Heisman winner. You get a little bit of that entitlement, not willing to work hard enough. And that's kind of where he's at. He's at a crossroads right now in his career. But he's going to be battling back from a severe knee injury that may limit his mobility. And that's part of what makes him great. But I'll go out on a limb and say that he is a proven quarterback in the National Football League. He's won for a period of time, at least, he's won more than he's lost in the NFL, I would say. I'm not sure of his record, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of playing the quarterback position, he's a game changer. And I'll go on a limb and say he's proven. But, however, though, there's an asterisk. I still need to see a little bit more from him, especially the way he bounced back off this knee injury. This is going to say a lot about him. And this easy proven can quickly be turned to an unproven. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to say Kyler Murray is proven. Let me know what you guys think. So we got Patrick says Tua is unproven. Richard says Tua is unproven. And then Richard comes back and says Kyler is unproven. So, I get the argument for Kyler being unproven. Now, he still has some left to prove, but I think he's done a little bit more so much than what Tua has been able to do. Kyler came onto the scene and really lit it up for the Cardinals. I mean, they were one of the top teams in the NFC, while he was there before he got hurt. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Another guy, this one could be easier. Some people, it could be straightforward. Geno Smith, Seattle. Now, Geno's been around for a while. He's been around for quite some time, drafted by the Jets. They kind of ruined his career a little bit. He heads to the Pacific Northwest, kind of waits it out. Russell Wilson leaves, enter Geno Smith. balls out, has the best year of his whole entire career. They give him the bag. The rest is history. This one's pretty simple to me. I think he's still unproven. Although he's been in the league, God knows, I don't know, 7, 8 years. It seems like he's been around for a while. He's still unproven as a starting quarterback in the National Football League because we only got one season of him. Now, if he comes back and produces in the same fashion that he had this last season, then maybe we can change that over. But again, it's not the NBA. I'm not going to just crown guys just because they have one solid year. You're going to have to show me again consistently, And Seattle, to me, they can be in the running for winning that division, the NFC West, for sure. Now people are like, oh my God, really? The Niners are good, but Seattle is not that far off as well. So it's going to boil down to Geno Smith and what he can do. So to me, this one was pretty quick. Again, phenomenal season by Geno Smith, but we got to see a little bit more for him. And Richard Cole says he thinks he's proven. So me and Richard, we're at odds on some of these players. So we'll have to wait and see. But I like Geno. I like Seattle, but you got to give me one more year, man. You got to give me one more year as a starter, and then I can maybe formulate a better opinion about you. But right now, I gotta go with unproven. And then Patrick says Kyler Murray, unproven in my humble opinion, starts hot, finishes ice cold. And that's fair. And that's fair. I appreciate that. He said, Patrick also thinks he's proven. System fits Geno, skill set, plus we got to see the real Seattle offense under Geno versus Russell. So, all right, hey, that's what the comment section is for. Excuse me. I still think he's unproven, but we'll have to wait and see. That's what we got the season for next season. So we'll see. All right, the final guy. I think this to me, this one is an easy one too. Derek Carr. Listen, he got ousted out of here in Las Vegas as a Raider. He took a lot of blame. I'm not saying he's perfect. Okay, I'm not saying he was a world beater at quarterback, but when you play for the Raiders, the Cowboys, Yankees, the Lakers, these are very polarizing sports franchises, right? You get a lot of hate, you get a lot of love, depending on, what side of the fence you are or the side of the train tracks you're on. And the Raiders have not been a model franchise. A lot of turmoil, a lot of turnover, coaching wise. The owner, is the son of a Hall of Famer, Al Davis, a legendary owner. They had all these issues, last couple of years with the coach, John Gruden, the racial epithets and the slurs and all the emails, yada, yada, yada. You have the Henry Ruggs scenario, the Damon Arnett, all these things that are outside of football, right? But somehow, some way, Derek Carr shoulders the blame when the Raiders lose. Now, the head coach gets a lot of blame too now. But listen, Derek Carr is a pro. He never complains. He shows up, always says the right thing when he comes to the mic. In my opinion, this is a no-brainer. Derek Carr is a proven quarterback. He's a proven commodity in the league. Now, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not, a lot of these other guys that we hold in high esteem, right? But he's a good quarterback, and any team that would have him would be blessed to have him. And to me, this one was simple again. He's a proven quarterback. Again, is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. I get it. He's not perfect, but listen, he's better than some of your team's quarterback right now. And I maybe didn't like the fit, maybe with New Orleans, maybe he saw something there. But for sure, Derek Carr is a proven quarterback in the National Football League. So there you have it. I mean, listen, he went through like 500 coaches in Oakland and Las Vegas. Had to start early on in his career there. Big shoes to fill. When you go into that organization, whether you like the Raiders or not, that's a top team when it comes to with them being in the media and their fan base for sure. And Patrick, well, we finally agree on one here. He says, proven by fault due to changing of head coaches, coordinators, internal issues, and was the voice of reason. He was the one guy who kept that team afloat through all the BS. Absolutely. He was the only steady factor in that locker room during the tumultuous times that the Raiders have had the last couple seasons. And the way they kind of benched him, it was kind of whack, man. And I'm glad he got out of that situation because Raider fans don't deserve him. They don't. And they're going to find out quickly. Jimmy G probably won't even play the whole year. So we'll see how that goes. But appreciate you guys commenting, man. But yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But there you have it. We got Tua for me, unproven. Kyler, proven. Geno, unproven. And Derek Carr, proven. So that's it. And you hear that music in the back? That means I gotta roll, man. I gotta enjoy the rest of this Sunday, man. But I appreciate you guys stopping by in the comment section. Shout out to everyone in the comment section, man, keeping it lit for me. I appreciate you guys. Again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, man. It ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. And dads, this is our day, man. Let's represent. Love your children. And that's it. So I'll be back next week, Sunday, same time, same channel on the Grid Network. Also check me out on my YouTube page as well. Be on the lookout for some TikToks that's coming out this week. Other than that, man, that's all I got. So again, appreciate you guys for watching, and those that'll be listening, thank you as well. Until next time, like I always say, this is Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Sunday Wake Up with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go. I'm out. Peace. NFL Sunday Wake Up presented by The Grid, the future in sports media content. Let everybody hear it. Let's go.